y'all. Welcome back to the Between Sessions. My name is Eboni Harris.
And I'm Elisa Bokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch. We have to, I feel like every so often we need to remind people why we say that. What do we mean by changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch?
If this is your first time joining us and or never heard the explanation before, welcome. Thank you for being here. When we say that we change the face of therapy on both sides of the couch, what we're saying is that we're trying to promote more people of color going to therapy, as well as more people of color becoming therapists or mental health professionals. Yes. So that's what Melanin and Mental Health is all about. That's why we have the shirts, and that's why we have the directory. That's why we do our webinars and our trainings and all of that. And our merchandise. The mug. Because we want to reduce the stigma and the shame or anything around like wanting to seek mental health, as well as promoting people of color going into the field, because we need more people like us.
We need more Black and brown people in the field, so that when people are seeking the help, they see people that reflect them, because that helps in the therapy process. The relationship is 80% of your healing process, and so it's important that you have people that look like you, if that's important to you, that you have those options. Absolutely. I just want to say, this is all off topic. I'm looking at myself on my camera. My melanin is popping. It's look at it.
I got a little bit of a tan. Yes. Feeling this. I love to get dark in the summer. That's my goal. Trying to be as dark as I can.
It's that light, the natural light coming in. I was talking about the natural light, but it does look spectacular.
I was like, what is this caramel?
Look at that. Okay.
Feeling myself. All right. So, sorry for that tangent. So today we are talking all about just overall business etiquette, kind of networking, how to get help from starting a business,
private practice, because
not even just private practice.
That's what I'm saying. Starting a business. I didn't want to just say private practice, because I don't know. I feel like sometimes within our field, people forget the private practice is a business.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Right. But so starting a business, because we are serial entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes. Along with Melanin and Mental Health, we both have our own private practices, which are businesses that make us money, as well as webinars, master classes. I used to sell merch. I kind of moved that to Melanin and Mental Health.
Yes. The creator, the original therapist, dope therapist, was started right here by this woman.
So we've always had like business minds, and so that's why we connected.
Yeah.
But along with that, we've learned a lot.
You're my business soulmate.
Why do I need to feel pressure? Like, what is wrong with me?
Eternity.
That feels like so much pressure. Goodness.
Say you don't even have to do anything. We're just business soulmates. That's like when we met, we connected. And here we are. Where are we going next? Who knows? Okay. I'm ready for the ride. So forget business bestie. You my business soulmate.
That's why I thought you were gonna say business bestie, and I was like, okay.
You know I'm always extra.
Soulmate. Oh, why that makes me so nice. I should do some work around that.
Like, you got commitment issues. That's fine.
We're not talking about that. Okay. As we talk about starting a business, commitment issues.
Yes, we're coming back to this part. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about commitment issues in building a business.
It is a commitment. So
it is.
You see the Instagram pretty layouts and people with their laptops, and everything is so beautifully curated, and you're like, I want to be my own boss.
I want to sit in the sun and type every day.
I'm like that hustle life.
Sometimes,
that's right. I tried it. I tried to be. I'm like, this is hard. My battery's
low. The computer gets hot. Like, it's not.
Yes. It's like, oh, cool it down. Put the towel over it. But you see all of this beautiful hustle.
Yes.
The hustle is not that pretty.
Nope, it's not.
The hustle is not that pretty.
It does. I mean, and so I think a lot of people when they go into business, they're thinking like, this is what I want, which that typically, if you do get to that point of like, okay, I can, set my own schedule. I can work from anywhere.
Whatever the case may be. The freedom.
Right. The freedom and all of that. That's after like building this business and building the income and that type of stuff before. It's not like you just start and that's where you start off at.
So what you don't see on the Instagram post is you are in the fetal position
in your closet, in your walk-in closet, underneath the clothes rack.
Trying to figure out why you made certain decisions that led to this.
Like, oh my God, because you don't have that safety net,
right?
Say,
right.
And even if you have some sort of safety net, which I always say, even when you are working for somebody else, I feel like, yes, there is more predictability, but at the same time, I think you don't really have a guarantee.
Right, because you get fired at any time or something could happen with the company. You don't have a lot of control because you're not at the top.
Right.
So it's a lot of things can happen where that safety, it's like a false sense of safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
And although it's there, again, you
get a check every 2 weeks.
It's a wonderful thing, but you just don't know. I think what it is about entrepreneurship, being your own boss, is there's no veil of that. Like, this is what it is. You don't work, you don't eat.
That's it. Yeah.
You don't have business coming through. You don't have money coming through. Your bills are not going to be paid.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, yes, you don't see the parts where you and I have had candid conversations where it's like, what are we doing?
What is happening? What is happening right now? Where's the money? Where's the life? We've definitely talked about the struggles of just the up and down, right? Until you get the right flow. And you kind of learn systems and that type of stuff, like how it can be like you'll have an amazing month and then the next month it's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It wasn't amazing. What happened to last
What am I doing? Like that's so great. I thought I was on the right track. And then all of a sudden
you figured it out.
Yeah, and the next month it's like, not so much. So it's definitely up and down. And then I think for me, I'll be transparent. And when we talk about my commitment issues, I am interested in everything. I love doing lots and lots of things. And so at one point I was in my private practice. I was building websites. I was selling merchandise. I have a podcast, another podcast outside of this. Like I have all the
You're
things.
a Renaissance woman.
Or just a ridiculous, like, overachiever. Like that doesn't necessarily
What
achieve
were we talking
things.
about last week? Perfectionism.
Right. So, and so for me, it was when it came to commitment, I had to decide what I was going to commit to, right? And so that took time because I do have these interests and there are things that I want to do with my career, but it's like you don't have to do all the things at once. Like you can do the things one at a time. Like it's okay.
You have to build, like scaffolding. Like, okay, what's the first layer? What's the next layer? What are we gonna do next?
Right.
And when you have so many ideas and you are a creative, because to start your own business, there's a certain level of creativity that you have. You're birthing this idea,
right?
And so just learning, having patience with that process also is difficult,
right?
But yeah, committing to this is a commitment because for better for worse.
I mean, and you still have that safety net of a job. Like you can always go back and get a job.
You can
go back and work for somebody else.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with that. There's not. And there's plenty of people who do both, right? Like you can do both as well. I think when you've been an entrepreneur for a while though too, it just kind of becomes part of you.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that this week. It's like, I gotta figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when you go back and still there, you're still like, I still have to work on the stuff on the side. And this is not, because you've had that experience, especially when you've had that freedom and you've had like the ability to make decisions and you get to have complete control of those decisions. That can feel scary, but it's also very empowering.
It is.
To not have to like ask.
And when you start to see the fruit of your labor, you're like, yes, I know it's because I've been working my ass off. But it is a commitment and it is scary and it's not luxurious and it's not pretty a lot of the time.
Right.
When we had Patrice Washington, when we had her on the show, great episode with her. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. But when she was talking about how she still has doubts.
Right. And if you watch her and she's speaking everywhere, I forgot she just announced she was speaking somewhere, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, we had her on our show.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, and she's still, even in this moment of, like, her success, still having doubts about the decisions and whether or not this is the right way for her to go and things like that.
So commitment, and so I think that kind of leads into how do you deal with the ups and the downs, because there's going to be so much of it, is having support.
Yes, that's number one.
Having a good support system, people, whether that be because you're investing in some sort of coaching, but you don't have to, right? Like, you have to have some knowledge of business going into business. Right. It is not Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Like, right. It's just not. You have to have some background of business, whether that be because you have experience, whether that be because you hire a coach. But if you don't have that, there's so many resources out there.
Right. YouTube University, Google.
Yes.
Like, those is there. There's so much information. And yes, it takes longer. And that's why people do hire coaches or try to do certain programs and things like that, because when you're researching, you have to go through all this trial and error and things like that. But it's there. And so it's options there for you, whether you have the money or not, whether you can invest in certain areas or not. If you can't invest money, you have to invest time, and that's just what that's, I think, a hard thing for people to understand.
Reading. Yeah. Okay, full disclosure, I hate like when someone gives me directions and they're like, well, just read this. I'm like, ugh. I'd rather pay extra for you to tell me how to do it. Right. But, you know, if you don't want to invest, this is an investment. You're going to invest time. You're going to invest energy. You're going to invest money.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat equity, because we're not owed anything. People are opening businesses all the time. You're not going to get the red carpet rolled out because your business, you have an idea.
Are excited about your idea.
Everybody come and support it. It just doesn't work like that. And so it's going to require from you a lot of sweat equity. Yeah. And that requires sacrifice. It requires time. It's going to require tears.
All of those fun things. But it also has great reward, though.
It does.
It's a lot, but it's rewarding. Like,
I love what I do.
Right, and that's the thing. Even in the like tears, it's like, but I'm not gonna do anything else.
But I'm in it to win.
I'm here. But I think I think support is just the biggest thing, right? Yeah. And support in the ways that you said, but also support in like other entrepreneurs and other people that are going through that. And that's something that's helped me tremendously. Yeah. Like, just having, I don't even have like a huge network. I know people. I don't have a huge network of people that I reach out to. I'll say that. But having like a few people, at least, is a huge one that I could just come sit on the couch and like.
Because we soulmates.
Okay. Elisa, my business bestie, teacher Bay Rebecca. Okay, anyways. But no, like, those people, like, help you just like processing, right? So like when you're stuck, just be able to call somebody and be like, let me just talk this out with you, and to be able to get that feedback. Or sometimes when you're just talking it out, to be able to process it out loud to somebody that knows it, and you have to explain things to, like, well, what do you mean by customer acquisition? Use those words. Right. I'm just saying, like, if we did.
How do we keep these clients?
That's more about how we talk about it. Why do you keep leaving me?
Right.
You know, stuff like that. No, but
not that we want to keep our clients. No, that was a bad example. How do we keep people registering on the website?
Calling?
How do we keep people buying the merchandise? How do
people find you? How do people, become loyal to you? Anyways, all of those conversations. It's great to have people that are going through other situations to be able to bounce that off of. And even I used to do, and I want to start back doing this. I used to do like a wine and work situation. Yeah. Where we would just, it would be Fridays, because I don't work on Friday. I don't see clients on Fridays. But I would have people come over, we would have wine, and we would kind of like talk about our for the day, then we would work, but then throughout the day, like, if we get stuck, we'd have somebody sitting right there to kind of bounce ideas off of and talk to. And even in that, like, you get because everybody has different knowledge.
The synergy.
Yes. Yeah. And we all have different experiences, have taken different paths. And so, like, something as simple as if you want to be an expert in your field, if you look up Help a Reporter Out, you can go there, sign up, they'll send you inquiries, and you can become an expert in your field by sending out like information. A lot of people don't know about that. Right. And so you can be sitting with someone. I learned that
from you.
Okay, yeah. You can be sitting there and somebody's like, well, how do you get featured in these articles? And I'm like, oh, you just go to this website and register, and then they send you stuff, and you just have to write up stuff for them. And so those small things that you would never think about, is if you have that network of support, it just like, oh, that's so much easier than I thought. I had to pitch myself to 100 people before I could get featured in one article or something. It's just a lot easier.
Well, but to that point, I think what you just highlighted is having these relationships, because that's, can we at least we go,
like, we're going to spend a bit of time on relationships just because it's important.
Listen, please.
This is the part to pay attention to.
When you reach out to somebody, right?
She gonna go straight to it. I thought it was gonna ease into the importance of relationships. Okay.
Well, relationships are mutually beneficial. Okay. And so go back to the part where just because I decided I wanted to go into business, I had this brilliant idea of having my own private practice. And it was going to be so lovely. That did not mean that everybody was waiting for me to send me business, give me business, support my business. They just weren't.
Right.
I had people in my life who loved me, and they thought that was great.
Right.
But, other people in the field,
it's not their job.
They're not like, oh, Elisa has arrived, so let's prepare her for success. It just doesn't work like that. So when you are seeking out support of others, recognize, and this is part of, I was telling you the other day, someone had shared, Rashawn had posted on his Instagram stories. It was a clip of somebody, what's her name?
Jess Hilarious.
I think it was her. And then, Derek Jackson, he always comments on it. But she was going on talking about how when you're starting a business, how other businesses don't want to support you because they don't want the competition. And so you might ask them,
which has nothing to do with it. But.
So, okay, now I will say there are some people who have that mindset, right? You and I, we don't have that mindset. We have this abundance.
That's not the concern, though. Either,
it's not the concern, but, it was like, okay, they don't want to give you the steps because they don't want you to compete with them. And so you might ask them, well, how did you do it? And then they'll say, well, it was hard, or it was this, or, it took a lot. Okay, but how? How?
But tell me how.
So, okay. Let me take a pause.
Right. Okay.
Because I am a very caring, I love people.
And you want to help as
much as you can. I have an abundance mindset.
Which is why you're in your
do what we
practice.
do.
Exactly.
This is why we have this podcast.
Right.
This is what.
But while we put so much information out there on our own within Melanin and mental health, we try to give you information, give you resources to help. But that doesn't mean we can help with everything. And we're not even at this point, we're not even doing business coaching or anything.
We're still
we're working on growing mental health.
We do some, consulting here and there.
Well, yes.
But we're still in our infancy phase. But there may be somebody who's way ahead, right? There's way ahead. And so let's say you reach out to that person and you say, tell me all the things of how you did what you did. If they don't respond, or if they don't give you the outline, that doesn't mean that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to help you, that they don't support Black and brown businesses, that they don't want to see you succeed. It probably means they're busy.
They're busy. So let's go through the process of getting an email, right, or a social media DM. First off, understanding that you're not the only person, right?
Right.
You weren't the only person that reached out to say.
This person who is very successful, let's say, somebody who's out there, you're striving. We have, business goals and business people we look up to. And when you see that they have these big followings, there's probably a lot of people that
reach out
that are
asking.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this to say, shoot your shot. Nobody's saying don't reach out to these people to become mentors, to try to just have them in your network. That's perfectly fine. And the reach out is tell me how you did XYZ.
Everything.
Usually, tell me how to build a Melanin and mental health myself. Tell me how you started your private practice.
Right.
No, don't send me to this resource. Tell me from day one once you graduated to the point where you got full with clients.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Tell me how you started a podcast. Those are the questions we get. And so it's not any like disrespect or anything when it's like, okay, I'm just not going to respond. Typically what I'll do is I'll send you a link. It's going to be a link to a video. It's going to be a link to a webinar. It's going to be a link to somebody that teaches this stuff. If you send me that, the work that I would have to do to create something first off, because now I have to go back and say, what did I do? Let me write down these steps. Let me write, like, to create something to give to you takes away from the business that I'm building. And that's the bottom line. Like, my time has to go toward what pays my bills. Now, once I become a full business coach and all of that stuff, then sure, I'll send you a link to a product that you can pay for. And that'll be great. But right now, because that's not what we are doing 100%, like, yes, we've had companies reach out and we consulted and things like that. And we have a webinar about becoming a dope entrepreneur. But that's just not what we do. So then that means that you might get like a really short answer, or maybe no answer at all, depending on the email.
Well, and what I want part of to bring it back a little bit is understand that, like I said before, it's not that they don't want to support you
at all.
But if it is a relationship that you're building, so start with, what do you have to offer to that relationship? If you're seeking out mentorship from somebody, in your field, maybe you're not necessarily a therapist, whatever you might be. Maybe you are wanting to start your own bakery or a florist company or whatever, whatever hustle you have. Understand, if you're seeking out a mentor, it's a relationship. So what is the value that you're adding to the relationship? And if someone is unable to maybe meet all of your requests or something, it's not necessarily that they don't want to see you succeed. Right. It's limited time, and then it's not just one thing. There's so many moving parts to being a business owner, to being an entrepreneur, so many moving parts that one email, one luncheon is not going to, it's not going to do it. However, if you go into it like, how can I support your business? Let's start there. Are you supporting the business that you're seeking out the support from? Are you an active supporter of them? Okay.
Do you even know what they do?
Do you see that they're successful?
We get people on Instagram that see our followers and it's like, hey, I want to be connected with y'all. Can you promote me? And it's like, do you know what our business is? Do you know we have a directory outside of like just, it's like, it has nothing to do with melanin and mental health at all.
Right.
Or mental health or therapist or anything.
It's a relationship that you are building, and relationships they go two ways. And so when you're excited about starting your business, you're excited about people knowing what you do, the best way to go about that is to start building relationships with other people.
Yeah.
And not just, what can you do for me? How can you send me business? Here's my card, send me business. Because it's, what do you do, and how can I support you? How can we support one another?
How can we get to know each other?
How do we get to know each other?
Let's start there. Yes. Let's start with like, I like what y'all are doing. I'd love to learn more, and I'd love to figure out how we can support each other.
Right. How can we support each other? And sometimes, like you said, shoot your shot. And sometimes people, you're gonna miss. That's okay.
That's okay.
But so much, I think, of business and a big success piece of it is the relationships that are built and formed, because people want to know who they're doing business with. If it was a matter of just Googling somebody, especially in our field, especially in our field, that would be different. But when you're dealing with people, when you're in the service industry in particular, people want to know who they're dealing with.
And sometimes even, because I know we do it, we've had a lot of phone calls since we started. And sometimes that phone call of just like, let's just get to know each other. Even if something doesn't come from it right then and there, then later on, it can be like, oh, I thought about you because now I know what you do and I understand your business more. You understand my business more. So as opportunities present itself, we've gotten emails randomly from people that's like, oh, I saw this opportunity and I thought about y'all because I remember you told me you did this. Yeah. So here's an opportunity. And so that building that type of relationship where it's not like, it doesn't have to be immediately, I need to get something from you. It needs to be like
okay, let's get to know each other, and then let's continue to like think about each other when opportunities come up. And this is the person I would send it to. But we're so focused on, I have this thing I need to sell now, or I have this idea and I need to get it done now. Just tell me what to do, or just help me get it done. And that's not, unfortunately, no, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, that's not anybody's job but yours.
Right.
Like, our job is to make sure our business grows. Your job is to make sure your business grows. We can collaborate all day. Right. We're all for that. So I don't want, because I know I've seen so many comments before that's like, people just don't like the support, or
right. That's
why,
a big thing.
Yeah. Or even the lunch thing. Like when somebody says like, can we go have coffee? Can we go have lunch? So I was like, well, no, I don't have time. Right. And it's like, well, why won't you go have?
Sometimes people don't. Right. And that's the big thing. That's what the takeaway is that we want you to understand. There are people out there that they don't. I mean, when we got into the field, we're like, oh, some people don't want you to be in the field.
Yeah, some people are very clear about like they don't want.
I'm about to go. There is a scarcity mindset,
Some
even within the therapy world.
Yeah. People are human.
People are human. People might be threatened for whatever reason, but it is what it is. What we're saying is, though, a lot of the time, it's not that people don't want to support you. It's just that there's so many moving parts that they may be trying to keep up with. And because, listen, I know for me and I know for you, we have invested a lot of time and energy and resources and money into like whatever little success we might experience. Like, again, even with Melanin and mental health, and I feel even with our practices, we're still in kind of the infancy stage. And so the amount of investment we have put into what we're doing, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. And you cannot bypass that.
Right.
You cannot bypass that. Unless you got a trust fund that you're just sitting on and you get to, And again, then you pay for a coach. Or you pay for somebody that has that knowledge that has done it. I think one of the things I want to make sure that we like give tips on like how to do it right, which you've already kind of talked about, building a relationship. We talked about like seeking like to make sure it's reciprocal and not one-on-one. And there's a good question here. I hope I don't mispronounce your name because people mispronounce my name all the time. It's Eliza.
Eliza?
Ermion, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but Ermion is asking, what if you feel like you don't have anything to offer your new mentor? Well, we always have something to offer. It just may be that may not be what they need, right? Like, so let's say you can offer your time. Let's say you can offer how you can support them. Is there anything, maybe even like an internship type of situation? Now, it may not be what they need at that time, right? It may not be, but there's always something that we have to offer. Ask them, how can I support your business? I would love to support it more. And even asking about mentorship, if they offer any sort of mentorship, and how you can bring value to what they're doing. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that sometimes people need additional support. And if they don't need it at this time, let's keep looking for another mentor or other support systems.
I think even in offering though, that's showing you're coming at it in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so I think one, you can look very small. I know I've listened to, what's her name? Exa Nicole. That's not her name anymore though. I mean, her name is Exa Nicole. It used to be Nicole Bitchy. But she said somebody would send her messages all the time saying like, hey, this is grammatically incorrect, or you spelled this wrong. Like that was just something so small, just looking at the blogs and recognizing like, hey, this is spelled wrong. Hey, and it turned out she ended up hiring this person to go through and edit all her blogs. Yeah. And so every time she wrote something, she would send it to that person and paid this person to do that. And so you'd be surprised how small contributions, and just like you saw an article about this person, or even if you tell somebody, I listened to this podcast, you said this, right. I followed this, I did it, and I learned this. That brings value. Right. That tells them, okay, this is what people are listening to, this is what people enjoy, and that helps them understand their customers better, things like that. So I think you'd be surprised how it's not like you need to like say I can connect you with this person or anything like that, but sometimes it's just those small things, just information. Right. If it's like an article that sounds similar to their business, send that to them and say, hey, have you looked at this? This reminded me of your business. I thought this might be something you can do within your business. I don't know, but I just want to offer it because it crossed my mind. Nobody's expecting you to, especially when you're starting out, right? Because the thing is, what you said is important. We all have something to offer.
when we first start, sometimes we feel like we don't. We feel like we don't know anything. There's nothing I can do, blah, blah, blah. We all have something to offer. So even if it's completely opposite of what your business is, but maybe you went to school for engineering, or maybe you went to school for something, and it's like,
maybe you're great with social media.
Right.
Maybe like you can write up a blog. You just don't.
Do they create content? And is their content slowing down? Or do you see a place where you'd be like, hey, I can write a blog real quick. Let me just write this and say, like, if you need extra content, here's free content, you know?
Right.
It's so many ways to help. But I think the biggest thing is, ask. If you don't, just ask, like, hey, I really want to support you. I already follow you across social media. I already buy your products or whatever the case may be, but I really want to support you. Is there a way, is there anything that my skills, and these are things I'm good at, how can I be of service?
Yeah. So I think what we're really highlighting is being in business and being in relationship with other businesses. It's a relationship. Your relationship with your business. It's my baby. I'm committed to you. You know, you drive me crazy at times, but I love you, and I'm in it, and I might need to go and seek out support to how I can continue sustaining this and have my own therapy and my chakra healings and everything that I need in order to continue showing up for it. And then sometimes, when do we have to let it go? Right? When do we have to let it go? And so just like any other relationship, everything that it takes in order to support, sustain, cultivate, nurture the relationship that you have with your business within itself, then with people outside, because we haven't even talked about with your clients, like how are your customers, the type of relationship you have with your customers also, and valuing every single one, and what's the service that you provide. So there's so many moving parts,
and I think just those two things is just within business, relationships are necessary. And I always say, I'm an introvert, but learning how to network as an introvert or extrovert or whatever is very important. Learning how to connect with other people, learning when to connect and when not to. I follow a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people here in Houston that I look up to as business women who I've not reached out to, because what the person said, I don't feel like at this time I have anything to offer them.
Oh, we're gonna work on this.
No, well, we'll talk about it off air. To offer them, because whatever business they're in, they're not necessarily in my business. It's not, it's just like, this is somebody that I just kind of look up to. It's like, oh my gosh, you're doing big things, and that's it. Like, it's not. I feel like I'm about to try to explain to you why I don't feel like I have anything to offer.
We're gonna talk about
but
this.
No, so but that's okay. Like, you don't always have to reach out to every person. But when you do find something to offer, when you do have that connection or something happens, then yes, reach out or ask them to go to lunch or whatever the case may be, so that you can build those relationships.
You're gonna get some no's.
You're gonna get some no's. You're gonna get some people that's
you're gonna get a lot of no's
ignoring you. And that's perfectly fine. And the biggest, if you have not read the 4 agreements, you should read that before you go into business. Well, for life. Because my favorite, of course, is just don't take stuff personal.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of things, what's going on in other people's lives, what's going on in other people's businesses, and how they handle their businesses, and how they handle correspondence with you, has very little to do with you.
Yeah.
And so we take things so personal, and we take it as an attack. And this is me going my therapy speak, because we take it as an attack, we start to attack back.
Right.
And so, they must not like black businesses.
Right.
They must not like, no, it has nothing to do with that. They don't want to see anybody succeed. They don't want competition. That has nothing to do with you. Right. And so stop taking that on and take it as, okay, they have things going on that's not allowing them to respond. Let me move on to somebody else, or let me keep moving, or let me figure out other ways, or be persistent. If you feel like that's somebody that's very integral to you having in your life, then be persistent. But don't take it so personal where when you see them out, it's like, oh yeah, that's that business that didn't want to respond.
The name of the book was The 4 Agreements.
Oh, 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I was like, Don Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz.
I think the other part to that is also, we talk a lot about the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. So basically what that means is, when you have a scarcity mindset, that means that you're always looking at every situation like there's not enough. So when there's not enough business, there's not enough clients, there's not enough customers, so you get caught up in this not enough, versus the abundance mindset, which we're very much, that's our
plenty.
filter is there's plenty out there for all of us. And what you really want to focus on, especially at the beginning, because you can get really caught up in asking other people how they did what they did is one piece, but not being a replica of that.
Right.
It's more important to, yes, we need to know all of those moving parts and what makes a business successful and all the logistics and all of that stuff that absolutely is important, which is why I'm saying you have to have some business background, get some business training on some level.
Right.
Here in Houston, the Urban League, right?
Urban League, what's the...
U of H has a program also.
The programs are free. SBA, Small Business
Yes.
Association in most cities offer free programs.
A free program, where some of our colleagues and friends are doing this program. I think it was like a 12-week program.
Oh, yeah,
it was
Urban
free,
League, yep.
like every week, and they teach you about different parts of business. That's part of the sweat equity. Go. Learn.
Because
connect.
just because somebody gives you the blueprint, you're not that person.
Right.
And I think that's what you're like, tell you step by step what I've done to create my business. And you could be 10 times more successful than me because you're you or not have any success at all. So you have to understand that me giving you the step by step does not guarantee results.
Right.
Me giving you the step by step is like helping you. But along with that, you also have to understand that you're you and I'm me. And so we're going to have different results.
And so how is your business unique?
Right. Because if it looks just like mine,
right,
and I've been doing this for 2 years and you're just coming out, people are probably just going to be like, well, it looks the same. So let's just go with the person that's been doing it for 2 years.
I think especially in private practice, depending on where you are, like being in Houston and being in the area that we're in Montrose in Houston, it's saturated with therapists. You go and you type in the zip code and
cool place to be.
So it is. It's a great place to be. I love it. But I think that's part of it is, particularly with our business, I can't do what you do. Mm-hmm. You don't do what I do, because so much of what we do, we bring ourselves to it. Right. Right. I can only speak to the private practice piece. I've done other businesses in the past too. But so much of your business is, what do you bring of you that is unique, that is about you? And that requires us to also kind of have self-awareness and to value the parts and the gifts that make us unique, and that somewhere out there needs a relationship and sex therapist who specializes in whatever, Right. So don't get so caught up in also trying to be that person. Oh, she's on TV and she's doing these things. I want to, that's not to say you don't do it, but focus on what
self-awareness is so important.
So important.
Understand who you are and understand that just because you see other people doing it this way, that may not be the right path for you.
Yes. Yes, that may not be the right path for you, and understand that there is space for you. If you come across people where they try to give you otherwise, keep it moving.
Yeah. And of course, I don't want to go into that. Never mind. I was going to talk about like business coaches and how they have programs, but even with that, yes, you can follow the program, but you always have to put yourself into it.
And don't get caught up in the information, and then you never actually launch.
Do anything. Yeah. Take information and then work.
Do something.
I know. And that's okay, so quickly, because I feel like we're going to keep rambling because we can talk about this forever. But I know we like have like this, I don't want to say it's competition, but this thing about like reading books, right? Like we read all these books. I read 52 books this year. And it's like, that's wonderful. What are you doing with that information?
How are you applying it?
When are you able to apply the information if you're reading a book a week? Like, because to go through a book, to take the lessons and really apply it, it takes time. And yeah, you can keep reading and you can come back to it, but I think that sometimes we get so caught up in like, oh yeah, I learned how to do this, I know how to do that, I have all this information, but we never apply it, and then we're confused as to why we don't get the results.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, I'm guilty of this. I'm an information junkie.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that many times.
Oh, you too.
And it's like, I'm looking for the
one. You're looking for the one.
Yes, that one thing that really what I'm thinking is that one thing that's going to ease all my anxiety and make me feel less vulnerable about putting myself out there, and it's not going to be a risk. It doesn't exist. Put yourself out there. Put yourself out there, fall on your face, make mistakes, pick yourself back up, keep it moving, keep it going, because yes, if you are going to be in business for yourself, it's going to be a commitment.
Right.
You're going to need support.
Yep.
You're going to have to build relationships. And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
That was a nice little bow. Sign it up real quick.
I love, you know.
That was a nice little bow on that.
I love
all of that.
I love the hustle. The hustle doesn't always love me.
Right. But the hustle makes the reward even sweeter.
Yes.
Right? Like if you don't have the difficult times, if you just get it and it's just easy, how do you appreciate it? Yeah. How do you appreciate it?
That's what you always hear people who have struggled say.
Look, it's great to be on the other side though. Let's not pretend like the hustle is all you want. But for me, I'll speak for myself. I'm a person that once I reach a goal, it's like, oh, that's great. And now I moved on to the next goal. So it's not like I'm like just sitting here in the success and like, oh, that's great. So there's something about the hustle.
There is something about the hustle that I think
it can be addictive.
I think think some people are just weird for it. I think we're two of those people. But so
we're always challenging ourselves.
I feel like we should just close off.
There's lots of questions.
Wait, I'm gonna close off with this.
Facebook gonna cut this out because they don't like you to play other music. Okay. Anyway, so there were some questions over here. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can scroll to it. Information overload, self-awareness. I saw like a question earlier.
It's so hard with Instagram.
So what we need to, I don't know, we're going to have to talk about this some more and like answer the questions at some point. And
you have a webinar.
I was just about to say, we both need to promote this on top of Melanin and Mental. Well, first, Melanin and Mental Health. Follow across social media, Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. Go to Melanin Mental Health into the shop and if you are in private practice and you're still struggling with the whole, should I be in business or should I not? Do the dope therapist, dope entrepreneur, dope something.
That was your webinar.
That's the webinar I did about the basics of starting a private practice. So check that out. I don't know, it's like $35, $40, something like that. But I check that out just so you can get the basics and the information to see if this is something that you want to do. But along with that, we have our own practices, our own businesses. So I'm gonna let you go first because yours is tonight.
Oh, I was like, what are we talking about? Oh, yes, I have a webinar tonight because, so part of what I do, I specialize in relationships, I specialize in sexuality, and I also I'm also an energy healing practitioner. So tonight I have an event called Healing Your Chakras from Toxic Relationships. Woo! So I'll put the link in the comments, but that's tonight, 7 p.m. Central.
Follow you across social media.
Follow me across social media at Flow and Ease with E. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and on Twitter, I'm Eliza G. Boquin, and that's Eliza, Eliza G. Boquin. My name is so difficult to just say.
People know how to spell it.
Yeah, it'd be great if y'all join us for the webinar tonight.
So check out the webinar. I am Eboni Harris. You can follow me across social media, Eboni Harris MA. I also have Room for Relations, which is a website that's all about deconstructing our beliefs about love, sex, and dating. I have a podcast, Room for Relations, where we discuss everything from the first date to the last orgasm. And I also have a masterclass coming up toward the end of May, where I'm going to talk all about getting the sex that you want.
All of it.
So we're going to talk about how do you get the type of sex that you want.
All
whether you're single, in a relationship, whatever, you're going to get that. And so you can go to roomforrelations.com and sign up for the email list, which I think is 5 days to sexual freedom. So you can go there and sign up for that email list. And then when we start talking about this masterclass that's coming up very soon, you'll get that information as well.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mean,
this is just one of the things that we do.
Melanin and Mental Health is one. We have our own, but we're excited. We love the fact that y'all are like here for this topic because we see how many people came in and comments and things like that. So we'll keep that in mind as we create more content. But thank y'all for joining us so much.
We'll see y'all next time. Bye.